Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Tuesday, June the 20th, 2023. Tuesday, June the 20th. Well, Sharon and Faith are kind of, having a breath, a sigh of relief. Faith couldn't sleep up there. She didn't want to be afraid. She didn't want to be up there alone. She was still a little afraid. So Sharon and Faith were talking and cuddling. And Sharon, it's funny when you listen to her talk, she's talking like a psychologist to her daughter. But it was still a real touching scene. They're calming down. Oh my goodness, I was in tears today. Sally, the actress who played Sally, did a phenomenal job. I don't know her name. Goodness, I used to know it. But anyway, she, Courtney, I think her name is Courtney. Courtney did well, I ain't gonna call her Courtney because maybe it's not Courtney and then I'll sound stupid. Sally, I mean, she played that part. I was crying, oh, goodness. She, of course, was still angry at Adam, but Nick gets there and Adam tells him what happens outside the room. Because remember, Adam wouldn't tell Nick on the phone, which I don't know why. Nick found out standing there, and Nick was like, wait, what happened? And so Elena comes out the room because Elena gave Sally, she goes, this is a present for your nurse. And from the nurses. And she says, remember what we talked about. And she says, if you want to see, if you want to see your baby, push the button and they'll bring the baby to you. Right? Sally's like, no, no, I don't want to see. I no, no. So she goes, just if you change your mind, just push the button and they'll bring the baby. So I don't know if they'd already let Adam see it if he wanted to. I don't know. They didn't get into that. But anyway, Elena comes out and Nick is like, oh, he's broken up that, the baby didn't make it. He wasn't there for Sally. And he asked Elena, can I go in? She says, sure. She's asking for you. So she looks up and she sees Nick. She's like, Nick. And oh, she's crying and she's saying that, Adam didn't fight for the baby and her baby is gone. Oh, and Nick was just like, oh my goodness. Because Nick says, um, you know, he feels bad for not being there. Did he even mention not being there? I don't think so. I think Nick, because look, if Nick had to choose again, Nick would be saving Faith, and rightfully so, right? Sally and Adam, they were the parents of this baby. So they needed to deal with that. So anyway, he's holding on to, he goes, I'm gonna be here for you. And she goes, Adam had to make a choice and he chose wrong. He chose me over the baby. And Nick looked at her and he goes, Sally, I can't necessarily say I would have done anything different. She didn't go off on Nick for saying that, right? Nick is like, I'm glad you're here. And oh, so he gets up there and he's hugging her, on the side. And he goes, listen, Sally, they don't want me to stay in here long. Okay. So I'm going to take off. I don't even know if he said, but I'll come back tomorrow. He should have said, I'll come back tomorrow. But he goes, so I'm going to take off. Okay. And she's like, okay, okay. So he books. And I said, now see, Elena never said you got 5 minutes. Elena said, sure, she's asking for you. Nick couldn't handle being in that situation. And while Nick was in there, Elena, it was a gift bag, with a white gift bag with a handle. She says, here, Adam, this is for you. You lost a baby too. And so he just takes the bag, thinking like, what is this? And Nick comes out and Nick says, listen, I need a drink. Can you use a drink? And Adam said, yeah, but I gotta go do something first. And I didn't know they never said what he had to do first. Maybe that's when maybe he held the baby or saw, the baby. Maybe that's when, because he definitely said, I gotta do something first. But yet he shows up to society still holding the gift bag. So, and Nick is already sitting there with a drink, and he had already ordered Adam a drink, and it was sitting there. And he was said, oh, man, I'm so sorry. Nick was sincere, so sorry for your loss. That was I know that was rough. And Adam says, I was asked to make a choice between Sally and my child. And Nick said, oh, I understand. We both were put in a similar position like that. And Adam's looking at him. See, Adam still doesn't know what truly happened with Nick, Faith, and Sharon. And guess what? He doesn't need to right now, does he? Right now, he needs to be able to have his own grief feelings and truly not deal with anyone else, right? Or anything else that happened. So Nick said, man, you did the right thing, Adam. And he goes, but Sally hates me. Sally felt I shouldn't have done it. Sally wanted me to have chosen the baby. But I couldn't live in a world without Sally. And he goes, Nick, you should have been there to make that decision. And Nick says, no, no, no. That was not I wouldn't presume to make that decision over you and Sally's baby. You needed to be the one, Adam, to make that decision. And I thought, you're saying that now, Nick, but it had Sharon there not been a family crisis, you would have probably tried to block Adam from being there. Come on now. You would have taken Sally to the emergency room and not even told Adam, because that's how you've been acting, Nick, right? So anyway, Nick says, Adam says, look, you don't have to babysit me. Sharon and Faith probably still need you. I'm okay. You can go ahead and go. And Nick was like, are you sure? And Adam says, yes. So Nick gets up and Adam gets up. And then Adam reaches his hand out, like to shake Nick's hand. And Nick opens his arms and he pulls his brother in and he hugs him. I think that's the first time Nick ever hugged his brother. I don't even think he hugged Adam when Adam gave up a kidney to save Faith. I don't think he did. But he hugged his brother there, which was the thing to do. I was so happy that Nick actually did that, right? So then let's go back to Sally. So now she's alone. She picks up the gift box that Elena gave and she opens it up, and it had, real cute, it had little booty socks in it, a little beanie cap that they put on the baby's heads, and it had the baby's footprints on the piece of paper. And I thought, well, those footprints look awfully big, but you know what? Hey, don't nitpick. Don't nitpick on the scene. So I'm not going to nitpick on that. But anyway, but they do look awfully big. But so anyway, she is just crying and she's talking. I guess they had decided on a name. It was Ava Hope. On the card said Spectra, and it would say Spectra because the mother's last name was Spectra. It wasn't like it's a birth certificate, right? So it had the baby's name on it, not the Hope part, just Amy Spectra. And she was talking to her like, she goes, you would have been this, and she's talking and she's crying, and she wants her baby. Natural reactions, but she just did a really good emotional play on the scene. And so she decides that she does want to. She goes, you know what? I do have to say goodbye to you properly. I do. She goes, and I'm going to hold off. She's going to, I'm going to hold off. I'm going to say goodbye as I'm holding you. So she calls on the little call button and she asked them to bring her baby into her. And they said, they would do that. So that's going to be, they're not going to show, I bet you they don't show that tomorrow. I think we're going to just know she did that. And Adam, after Nick leaves, he picks up the bag and he opens the box, and it's the same thing that they had for Sally. They gave for the father, which was very, very thoughtful. That was very, very thoughtful. I like that. And he is just he's crying, and oh, he he's just looking at it and is just defeated. And there's this Victor, it shows Victor walking in to society. Nick must have called him, right? And when Victor gets to the table, Adam is just leaning back in the chair with his head to the side, just like he had been stabbed in his heart. Ugh. And he's just laying back. And Victor comes up and pats him on his shoulder, and he kind of looks up. And Nick, not Nick, Victor. Victor did that. And then Victor sits down, and he's like, he goes, I am so sorry, my boy. I am so sorry for your loss. And he says, Adam, you know, and Adam's like, Sally hates me. I had to decide between she and her, and there's nothing for me now. And he goes, I have nothing. I have no baby. I have no Sally. I have no siblings. I have nobody. And Victor's sitting at the table thinking, oh, goodness gracious, who am I? I just bought you $1 billion company. Well, not $1 billion, multi-million-dollar company. And so Victor goes, son, that is just not true. You have me, you know? And Adam just looks at him. He goes, no, nothing. And then when they're going to come at me and try to judge me, and he's really speaking of Victoria, right? And he goes, no, I'm going to have to go through this all on my own. And I'm going to have to fight my way through it. And Victor just looks at him. And Adam stands up and he takes his little gift bag and he walks away. And I thought, uh-oh. And Victor's looking like, oh no. When he's like this, oh no, right? It's definitely a oh no. So, you know, the rumors are probably right. Adam's getting ready to turn to the dark side. And unfortunately, we shall see. But he's grieving. And Adam doesn't take grief. Well, no, you know what? I'm not even going to say that about Adam. Who truly takes grief well? No one takes grief well. They handle it in different ways, some a little better than others. But grief is grief, and you have to go through it, and you have to feel your feelings. It was a very emotional episode today. I was crying, y'all. I was crying. It took me back to the day I actually had a miscarriage myself. So this story hit home for me, and it took me back to that time too. It wasn't emotional for me to watch this episode. She did an excellent job. Wow. Okay, so let's go to Comment Corner. Comment Corner. Libby says, I'm wondering if Sally will just be as angry at Nick for not being there for her and pushes him away too. Then the two of them might bond over their shared grief and will work together to protect the company from Nate and Audra's schemes. Just a thought. I've still had to watch, I had to watch Monday and Tuesday's episodes, a few scenes at a time because my heart broke for Sally. Me too. It was very, very sad today. I needed time to step away from the sadness. Me, I had to binge watch it all. Let me get, you know what? Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, no coming back to it. You know, the kind of person I am. I'm not the kind of person that tears a Band-Aid off a little at a time. I rip that sucker off. Goodness, I rip it off. Let me go through this. So anyway, everybody, that is it. A really emotional episode. Sally did a phenomenal, remarkable job. I applaud the actress. I think her name is Courtney. But then if it's not Courtney, then Sally, I'm sorry, I didn't know your real name. So anyway, everybody, that's it. I'll be back tomorrow for another episode of The Young and the Restless.